you played everything at UCLA. Talk about that for a second. When you came out of high school, you were recruited as a what?
Well, initially, I assumed that it would be too small to kind of hit at the collegiate level, so I was kind of selling myself and trying to get recruited as a setter. UCLA was really one of the only options that were looking at me as a hitter. Honestly, one of the few options just in general, for that matter. But so I came in, as an outside hitter. Maybe there was some assumption I would go there a little bit, or just kind of see what my position would be. But had pretty good success as an outside for most of my career here.
Yeah. I mean, this past season, though, you were a lib, you were an outside, and you're in the national championship game. You're playing lib. I guess I want to know is in this age of specialization that, kids at a 9, 10, 11, 12 years old are saying, hey, I want to be an outside, or I'm short, I have to be a libero, or I have to be a setter. How did you get around all this? Or is it just because boys volleyball is so small, it's just you sort of have to do everything?
I don't know. I think because, I'm a coach's kid, so I was always in the gym when I was little. I mean, we played on the beach a little bit. So I just learned all the positions, really. If I'm jumping in or playing with some other team, just you got to be flexible. And, I set most of high school, so I kind of had to know how to do all the positions, and you're kind of the quarterback and knowing the rotations and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I think it for sure helps to know different positions. I think it just, especially if you want to get on the court and play, it's any opportunity you can, that any way you can get on the court helps. So I think it definitely helped me. We just needed to switch some things up halfway through the year, and I ended up at libero, and we finished the year pretty strong.
He obviously didn't want you off the floor, and there was a lot of, and I was watching the playoffs this year, especially. You were very vocal. You were talking to the middles. You were talking to the outsides. You were clearly probably the most, other than the setter, maybe you were the most vocal person on the court. Is that something you learned, or is that something being a coach's kid you just realized you're always going to have to do that?
Well, I read the game pretty well, so I'm able to kind of see some things and know matchups, and read a lot of situations that maybe other players can't see or don't see. So one of the things that Spross kind of talked to me, Micah, Dylan, that we need to be more vocal on the court and kind of help each other out. So there's a lot of stuff that the coaches can't yell at us, and we then yell to other players, in the couple seconds you have before the other team serves. So he definitely had to talk with us and said, hey, we need you guys to be more vocal. You're kind of free. I was kind of free to make calls, run systems, kind of do whatever I saw. And Suarez just, he's an amazing coach that he allows Mike and I to basically kind of run the show out there. And if we see something and make an adjustment, and kind of just do that stuff on the fly.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to him because he's going to be the brunt of this conversation. But I want to talk about the last match. And, Long Beach is really good. I mean, they were good all year, and they certainly were good in the championship match. You guys, I don't know if it's fair to pull up 22-19 in the fourth. I don't know if that's fair to do that or not. But you guys certainly had an opportunity. But the margins in men's volleyball, collegiate men, national team, Olympic, they seem so small. They're so tiny. And so do you look back on that match and just think, wow, we were, we maybe let one slip away, or is that the game?
Yeah, it's tough for sure. I mean, we even up 18-14. We definitely had a lead, and we definitely did it. But I don't know. It's just, it's probably not as painful as like a 24-21 kind of a deal, where it's right there. But I mean, 21-19 is pretty close anyway. So yeah, it hurts. I mean, it's not. It doesn't. There's been a lot of like, oh, you guys were so close. Wow, good job. You didn't get blown out, and that's frustrating because we had them. We were right there, and we kind of did everything right, and we did. We had them. We were up, and then we just kind of let it slip away. They made some good plays, and we had a one double call that was kind of random in there, but yeah, it's tough,
Still hurts a little bit, I bet. I think the thing that everybody's going to point at though is the missed serves. I think it was four. I think he missed the last four of that fourth game, the first two of the fifth game, and Spera has been more than vocal about his serving, I guess, philosophy about we just go back and rip it. And so, you being in the midst of this, is this something that you agree with? Is it something that now looking back, you think maybe it should be managed a little more? And I'm not asking you to, to diss the coach or anything like that. I'm just wondering, you're looking at it now. If you were to coach tomorrow, would you have the same philosophy?
It's tough because what a lot of people from on the outside don't see is just the numbers of some of the statistics with stuff. And so at different levels, obviously, I think different stats and different numbers apply. For us, it took us a couple years to buy into that, go back and hit it as hard as you can every time philosophy. But when we did, we were playing in national championship match, the only reason we're probably going 4 is Dylan goes on a 5-point run where he's just hitting the absolute crap out of the ball.
Right.
Because if you go to the statistics side of it, where if they're siding out at 95% on a good pass, there's literally no point of serving easy because if they get a good pass, it's the same thing as missing your serve anyway because they're not going to mess up. And a team like Long Beach where their outsides are hitting 700, 800 in system, you're not going to stop them.
Right.
So the only way to even put a dent in them is to serve tough, get them out of system, and then hope to battle your way back and get a dig or two. Because the men's game is just so much about being big and athletic and hitting the ball hard. We set Kofi on perfect passes. Kofi's hitting almost 900 practically.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop him.
Right. So
if you're playing against us and he's in the front row, we're going to go Kofi, boom, 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 and side out 3 in a row. We set him from 10 feet almost. We're pushing the limits to set it because how athletic he is.
Yeah.
So you have to serve tough to even have a chance to score some points against these top teams. Now, at high school level, the girls game, they don't side out, and there's not as much dominant hitters as some of the top college teams. So it's different. The girls game is so much about defense and long rallies and that kind of stuff that missing a bunch of serves, trying to serve tough doesn't really do anything because you can get a dig, 50% of the time and you're fine.
Right.
But the other side of it too is that, you have to have players that are good enough to hit your serve aggressive and hard every time. And, and us missing a bunch or, we've had games where we missed 30 plus serves. And that's not, so much of a philosophy thing as that if that's kind of the philosophy, then we just need to get better at serving.
Yeah.
And we definitely made some progress. Took a while, it took a couple of years to go. And for sure, if you're not feeling it one night and you're missing 5 in a row in the net, change it up, go to a good float. But the service pressure, there's no point of serving in just to not miss.
Yeah, and I think Ohio State the 2 years previously proved that with national championships, and they're just bombing balls back there.
Yeah, they are good in the fact that they missed, but they were good at it. They served really tough, and that's the whole reason that that was a huge factor in them being up there.
Yeah,
that was a big factor in us. If you take a team like BYU, they had a lot of good players, but if we can serve tough, one of their outside struggle passes, if we can hit him, serve tough, you take the game down to 2 players, both pins.
Yeah.
It's much easier to set up some defense and get some blocks against 2 hitters rather than 4, especially with the Bic.
Sure.
So much in there.
Yeah. All right, let's go back 4 years. You get recruited by UCLA. You walk in the gym first day, and John Spera starts coaching you. So what surprised you, and what did you absolutely see coming that first couple practices in that first season?
It's a while ago. I think the biggest surprise, I guess, was, he's an intimidating guy. He coaches the national team. Got all these awards and all that stuff, and he's a good coach. So I think walking into it, I almost kind of expected him to be disappointed or unsatisfied with the level of play of the college game because, you know, he coaches the national team, coaches all these good players, and then to have us, you know, it's kind of like, you know, expectations are so high that anyone on the college level is never going to beat up because of, you know, what he coaches. But that was completely like not the case with him, and it was just awesome to see that, you know, he's super humble. You know, there's hardly any ego about him, and he's kind of just there to help us and get better. And he gets so excited about volleyball. We'll sit down and we'll schedule some video sessions and other things. And you know, he loves watching vid. He loves doing this stuff and new systems. And I think the biggest thing that's just like awesome is that, you know, he goes all in for whoever he's coaching. There's no like pressure to do well. You know, he hardly ever yells about mistakes and physical stuff. And his approach is kind of more like, oh, bummer, like good idea, good try, like shoot, you know, it didn't work out, instead of kind of like I expect you to play perfect. Why didn't it work out? And so it helps us grow and learn, and you know, you're not fearful to make mistakes at all. And it's a really good environment to get better and train.
A couple of years ago, he came out with an article in one of the volleyball magazines about accountability. He was one of the first coaches to come out there and say, you know what, I don't want my players holding each other accountable. I hold them accountable, and kind of promoting the idea that, you know, maybe we shouldn't be having our kids criticizing each other and things like that. Did you find that to be the case in his culture?
Yeah, he's definitely talked a lot about that. And, you know, it's tough because you get, you know, people always talk about, you know, healthy talking through the net and healthy, you know, getting on each other. And it's like none of that stuff's healthy at all. You know, you can be competitive in practice, you can go at it and go hard, but competitive greatness is, you know, it's a big win thing. And it's like, you're not putting down anyone. You're not, you know, no one, Spro's big about it. Like, no one's better than anyone else. You know, there's not, you know, freshman duties and freshmen do this and freshmen set the nets up. And it's kind of like everyone does that, you know, for 10 plus years, he hasn't named a captain, you know, because it's not, you know, one person's not, you know, better than the team, or we don't, it's just kind of like, he expects people to kind of step up as leaders on their own. And with the whole accountability thing, it's like me yelling at a teammate for not doing their job. It's like, it's not even my place to kind of yell at them for it. So I think we can, you know, hold each other accountable in a sense that like, hey man, you got it. You know, I know I got that next time, or kind of remind them maybe of what the game plan is. But, you know, I should never come from a point of like authority yelling down, you know, if I'm a player.
Yeah. Have you seen teams that you've played on the other side of the net that didn't have that idea?
Of course. You know, it happens a lot, you know, all across the board. So I think it's just, you know, and it's funny because, you know, there's, you know, every coaching staff is different from the next. And, you know, if you talk about healthy kind of culture and healthy dynamic, you know, we could have a real healthy culture, but, you know, still lose. So it's not that, you know, the other side of it doesn't work. It's just, I mean, we're all good friends. We're all close. We're all teammates. And I think it's hard, you know, if I have a teammate who's always yelling at everyone, you know, no one's going to like him. No one's going to want to hang out with him. No one's going to, you know, you're not all towards the same goal if one person kind of thinks that they're better than everyone.
Yeah. Well, if you could describe Spara's culture at UCLA in one or two words, what would you say? What would you use?
I think ultimately he's just trying to raise us to be good men, you know, and be mature and kind of just be accountable. I don't know, use accountability different ways, but just kind of, I don't know, take ownership, initiative. I think, you know, if you're picking two words, you know, intentionality, just kind of every day you come to the gym, you know, you're working on something, you're being intentional, you're doing all that stuff. I don't know, the two words you kind of used with the national team over the summer was like toughness and togetherness. Toughness and together. So it kind of varies year to year, you know, because different cultures and different people. So I think there's been just kind of like a general theme to Spra, because, you know, even, you know, a lot of this stuff and what he's kind of talked about and it's changed over, the 4 years. It's kind of shifted to the dynamic of the team, and it's kind of, he's just flexible. If we want to run a 6-2, run a 6-2. If we need to do some other stuff, we do that. And he doesn't have kind of like a template that he molds players to. He just kind of takes what he's got and tries to make something out of it.
So his coaching philosophy is more fluid, I guess, or his culture is a little more fluid.
So. He's been kind of the most systems orientated kind of coach that I've ever had and kind of seen, that you essentially have a system for literally any situation that can occur on the court. And so you just kind of have to learn those, and, with the national team and him playing and seeing and coaching at higher levels, and he knows what works. And he's been able to kind of put that down onto paper or into kind of words, and teach us kind of all the systems that we do. And it's kind of, it almost runs itself with the stuff once you learn the systems and once you do that. And, everyone kind of talks about just like when you get to like kind of the last 3 weeks of season, you're not really getting better. You're just kind of hammering in the systems. You're just making sure everything's crisp and clean. And then you just kind of go out and play.
Without divulging any secrets or game plans or anything, can you give us an idea when you say a system, how specific does it get? In other words,
well,
go ahead.
I mean, you kind of, systems can be broad in the sense of like, we're going to serve tough. That's what we kind of do. That's how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of get, into like, like 3-man blocking. Like, this is how we 3-man block. Like, this is where you play defense. A short set, the ball's passed really far to one side of the court. How you run your tempos, your timing to what you run. The big system, kind of, what footwork and what spacing, all that kind of stuff. And it's done like in a way that when you watch film, when you watch it, you can slow it down. You can kind of tell exactly, who's late, who's on time, what position, who's where. It's like, let's say you're going to run a 1-ball. And you just run it, and the set's really high. It's like, was the set too high? Was the middle late? How's the spacing? And it's like, if there's nothing like in place, you can just say, run a 1-ball. Like, no one has any idea kind of what do you change next time. It's you both change, one change, and so it's like, if you have a system where it's like, you're 3 feet away, you're on your toes with this ball's in center's hands, you're this far from the net. Then when you watch film and the set's too high, but the middle's on his toes, and it's like, the set was too high. And you can fix it, that fast and adjust and move on to the next one. And that way there's no kind of gray area ambiguity, because when you get to those championship points, those finals games, if you have like I don't know, hopefully it works, like it's not going to work, and that's just kind of how we've structured every aspect of the game, or as much as we can.
Yeah. When he came back from Rio, in 2016, and I believe you were a sophomore then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a tough loss for them. I mean, they won the bronze and it was great, but I think they really did have visions of a gold medal. And so when he came back, was he different? Had he changed? Did he seem any different at all, or was he just the same old Sproul?
I don't know. I think ultimately, he was super, super proud of the guys. I mean, I think it was just an awesome experience for him because, you lost, but I think they also went down 0-2 in the third place match and came back in 1-5. And it was the hardest he's ever seen his kids work and the grittiest, and they dug deep and played their hearts out. He was just ultimately super proud of them and stoked on the tournament, because that was, I think, the biggest kind of image from it. He kind of talked about how the team was just so close and together, and they were just kind of like a family there. And he was just super proud, and that's kind of the biggest thing that I saw from him.
When you were last year, this year, playing for him, the serving, the idea of the serving, I think a lot of coaches, especially in the men's game and at the higher levels, have almost adopted this, but there were nights when it absolutely went off the rails. And I think back till, I think it was last year, semifinals against BYU. And I want to say you missed 34, 35 serves, something like that. Maybe not many, 25, 26 serves. Do you ever question it? Did you ever, as a player, stop and go, wait a minute, this is a bad philosophy, or do you just have that much
Um,
faith in him?
well, that was probably the 2006 championship against BYU. We missed a bunch probably, and then against Ohio State, probably in the semis of the final four. Yeah, I mean for sure, and like I said, it took us a couple years to kind of buy into it, because it's just not something you do. But then you look at the teams that are there in the end, and it's like, well, shoot, they're all doing the same thing. They're serving the crap out of the ball. So there are nights when we're not as good at it. There's also, we've had plenty of games where we miss 25, 26, 27 serves and we win easily. We've had games where we only miss like 11 and we lose. So it's like the miss, and it's tough as a fan. And like I said, people outside of the game or outside playing the game, that aren't playing, that are outside watching. But it's just like, a point's a point. So it's like if I miss my serve, shoot. But it's like, the other hand of it, a perfect pass, it's a point anyway, and it looks better, and it's not, you don't miss, but it's like that's the biggest way to score points in men's volleyball. It's just because the side out game is huge.
Sure.
Side out such high percentages.
Yeah.
That, definitely question it. Definitely kind of, and I think it's per guy too. Oliver Martin, our middle, he floats. So we're not asking him to hit, a 60-mile-an-hour float.
Right.
We're asking him to put, a good float serve that moves a little bit on the right guy.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, Hess, our opposite, kind of towards the end, we're like, hey, hit a good ball, he misses a bunch down the line, so say, hey, go to area 1. But we still want you to hit, your good, hard, best serve.
Right.
So it's kind of intelligently done in everyone's best interest, but you got to serve tough.
So Hugh McCutcheon talked about this a bunch of years back about coaches being agents of change. And so I guess what I want to know is, what is Sparaw's secret? How does he get buy-in? At your level, it's pretty obvious. If you're not buying in, you're probably not going to be on the team next year. So, but at the national team level, everywhere he seems to go, though, his guys, they're absolutely bought in. How does he do that?
He's a really freaking good coach. He's also, one of the smartest people I know. He's really well spoken. He's intelligent, and he's been around the game for a fairly decent amount. He's not getting up there and close to retirement, but he's definitely had his share of championships and all that. And so I think it's just there's some respect that comes along with him. But he also explains stuff. If a freshman day one has a question, we don't all look at him and laugh and like what are you doing? He's like, oh, awesome, here you go. And so he just kind of earns your respect.
What are you going to do going forward?
I currently coach a club team. So we're starting back up again after their high school season for nationals. So I will finish the summer kind of doing that.
Is it boys or girls?
Boys, yeah.
Okay.
And then I think I want to go play here, so I'm putting some feelers out there and sending some videos to people. So, but we kind of just ended season, so it's early to be talking to people. So hopefully something comes along that I like and it'll be cool to do. But as of right now, the future is uncertain. If I stick around here, I'll probably keep coaching and help run the club, but I don't know yet.
Yeah. Is there a dream scenario for you? Like overseas, or is there like the country you'd like to go to?
No, I don't know. I don't know a ton about the international scene, and kind of, I think it's just so different, depending on what league and country you go to. So, at this point, as a 6'1" outside hitter, I'm just kind of hoping to land a job with decent money. So, I'm open to anything.
Gotcha. All right, last two questions. Your career, I don't know how you could categorize it any other way than incredibly successful. What would you tell young men that want to play in your footsteps, want to play at your level, what piece of advice or a couple pieces of advice would you give them? And I'm talking guys specifically now. So
I don't know. I mean, you have your cliche kind of, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone, get better, learn new things. But I think especially for us, with this year going the way it did, and, I thought, UCLA as a whole, and we did a really good job of being intentional every day, getting better. But, there's always those, panic for extra reps and all this stuff right before, the semis and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's hard to have that mindset where this is your last rep, this is your last game of poly, this is your last practice. It's hard to have that mindset and be that intentional and focused from day one. So I think just trying to find a way to dig into that and just embrace it, and just every day you go in the gym, don't waste it. Because I think just certain guys are gonna be athletic and get up there and learn it faster than others, but I think just every day you just got to go in and go hard, and because it ends soon, whether it ends in high school or it ends in college, and it flies by and you're done. So I just don't take anything for granted.
what advice can you give to coaches, men's, boys, girls, women, whatever? What advice would you give to coaches after you've gone through your last 4 years?
Well, I think a lot of times I've seen kind of coaches that, and I kind of touched on this with Sproul, just like they kind of have their system and they don't, they're not willing to put in some time and go get better themselves, because even Sproul, Micah or I will say something, and it's like, oh, cool, like, let's do it. That's awesome. And he's, obviously he's always learning and doing new things, and, he'll come into practice and a day and be like, guys, I all night playing this drill. I'm super excited to see how it goes. And, and sometimes it's terrible. Like, oh, this is terrible, but he's trying new things and going, the mile and to do stuff. And so I think just, especially coaches that are maybe just starting or inexperienced, to just maybe haven't, seen the success for some of their teams that they would like, just, them too, just always just keep trying to improve and get better. If it's watching other coaches or going and watching teams play or seeing, YouTube videos or coaching clinics, I think just always just, everyone just trying to get better and learn new things and kind of just adjust, and every year's not the same. So, it gets to the point where it's kind of, everyone has to evolve, and, but, it always helps if that coach is taking the initiative. And I think for the most part they do, but, I think that would just probably be the biggest thing for them.
Yeah. I thank you for your time, and I wish you the absolute best in the future. And I hope everything goes your way professionally.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.